A very good morning, everyone. In today's session, what we do, let's understand a few basics about the data because we are going to work with the data. We're going to be uh, becoming a data engineer or a data analyst after this course. So let us understand a few basics about data, then the tools required to learn this training, to learn these topics, and we'll also see how to install them. Okay, how to install and set up them. First of all, what is data? Information, collection of info, collection of facts and figures, raw data, useful information. It's raw fact. Okay, great. It's information, useful information, raw facts, and any type of information about a topic. Okay, correct. All the things are correct. Data is basically a piece of useful information. It can be anything. It can be your sales data. It can be your products data. It can be your logistics data. Anything. So it's a piece of useful information. Okay. If you take any e-commerce business, for example, Amazon or Flipkart here in India, any information you see on the website, first of all, that is information. Like you see a product image, that's an information. You see a product title, that's an information. You see the details about the product description, that is information. And Amazon stores your information like your name, first name, last name, phone number, email, address, all that is also an information. And you order something, that will be put into your order section, which is called as sales information. So that is also a information, right? All these are information. And even if you take your social media environments where you post something, that is also an information. Someone comments on it, that is also an information. Someone likes it, dislikes it, shares it, all that is called as information. Okay, that is the data. Now, what is database? We need to keep this information together somewhere, right? So you have a lot of information. I was talking about in the Amazon website itself, or in any e-commerce business. There you have the product information, customer information, sales information, logistics information, or any vendor from whom they are getting the products. All this information is there, right? Where do we keep it? We have to store it somewhere. So that storage, that collection of that data is called as database. How can we define it? It is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system, right? What is it? It is an organized collection of structured information. Basically, it is a collection of the information that we have or the data, right? Which is typically stored electronically in a computer system. Earlier, how data used to be stored before the computers or before the databases evolved? People used to do bookkeeping. They used to write in a book, right? Once the computer came into existence and people started leveraging the computers to store the data, that's when the databases started evolving. Okay, there is a history about it, like how databases came into picture. So if you're interested, you can just search online and read more about it. Okay, so database is an organized collection of structured information or data which is typically stored electronically in a computer system. So if you can store data somewhere as a database, there could be different types of databases, right? The way you store the data, there are these databases available, database types available: hierarchical databases, network databases, object-oriented databases, relational databases, distributed databases, and NoSQL databases. Okay. In all of this, so let's not worry about all of this. In all of this, let's only look into this one, because this is the one which we are going to use going forward, and we are going to learn this. Okay. So what is relational database? In the relational database, we store data in the form of tables. When I say a table, it will have columns and rows, typically like your Excel sheet. In Excel sheet, how do we have columns and rows? That's how we store the information in the relational databases. Okay. Why is it called as a relational database? Because when you have such multiple tables, you can connect them via a common point to make a relationship. That's why it is called as relational databases. That means you can have relation between two data tables. Okay, and the columns, let's say you have a table like this. So these are the columns that we have. Okay, for example, this is some column called ID. This is name. This is maybe a phone number. This is salary. Let's say this is a table called employee. Okay, so here we have information: ID as 1, name as, let's say, ABC, A for example, or he has some phone number and he gets salary of 1000 rupees. This is one employee information. If I have one more employee, I'll enter the value here. His name is B. Let's say his mobile number is 998 something. So his salary is 2000. This is other employee. And if I have another employee, something like this, and so on. You can keep on adding your employee details like this. So this is one table. Okay, and in this, these ones, this one, this one, this one, this one, are called as columns. Okay, and these ones are called as rows. Okay, and each these individual values are called as cells or values or individual values. Okay, and these columns, this entire thing is called as a table. These ones are called as columns and these ones are called as rows, and these individual values are called as values. So these columns are also called as tuples, attributes. And the rows are also called as tuples or records. Okay, the values are called as values only. Now, if you have one more table, for example, let's say you have one more table called department here. department, which has two columns, department ID and department name. And if you have department ID in this table also, you can connect these two tables. You can connect these two tables via a relationship. That is why this type of database is called as relational database. Okay, and these are connected via common column. So the column you should have the same column in both the tables. Then only you can connect those two. If you have worked on Excel, it is like having a VLOOKUP between two data sets data. Now, so there's one more called NoSQL, right? What is it? It is the kind of opposite of relational database. In the relational database, we have the tables, we store it in the form of rows and columns, and then we have a relationship there. But in case of NoSQL, we don't store the data as row wise. Okay, so there the storage architecture is little different. We call it as columnar storage. Okay, so that is the difference between that. Now we know what is data, what is database, and what are the different types of databases. And in that we know what is relational database, which is the one which we are going to use going forward. Now we have the database. So to maintain that database, we need some software, correct? So that software is called as DBMS. DBMS, Database Management System. It is just a software like any other software. For example, if you take Word document or the Excel document, so in that what do? You put some data. So to put some data, so you have that software, so that where you can format it properly, right? Or in Excel, if you take, you can also visualize the data. So to do that, we have a software, right? Similarly, to maintain the data, we have a software called DBMS, Database Management Systems. Okay. Now, if I have to define it, a DBMS serves as an interface between the database and its end users or the programs, allowing users to retrieve, update, manage how the information is organized and optimized. What does it do? It serves as an interface between the databases and the end users. End user can be a human being or can be a program also. What end user can do? He can retrieve, update, and manage the database or data which has been stored in these applications, in these softwares. Correct? So data is a piece of information. Database is a collection of such information, organized collection, I would say. Then relational database is a type of database where we store the data in terms of tables and we create relationship between the tables. And to store or manage this database, we have a software called DBMS, Database Management System, using which we maintain our database, as well as we also want to see the data which we have saved in that, right? That is retrieving the data, and we also want to update it over the period of time. So that is the updation of the data, and we can also manage the database. So that is the managing of the data. Now, what are the DBMS systems that we have? These are all the DBMS, database management systems we have today. Of course, there are more than this. That you will get a exhaustive list also if you just Google around it. But these are the main ones. We have Microsoft Access. If you are working with Microsoft Office tools, you might be knowing about this, Microsoft Access. And we have Oracle. There is something called Postgres, Sybase, HBase, Cassandra, MySQL, Teradata, Hadoop, and Oracle database again, IBM DB2, MongoDB, CouchDB. And there is one more called SQL Server. So this one is the Microsoft's product. This one is the Microsoft product. It is called as Microsoft SQL Server. So these are all the DBMS systems. So out of these, a few are relational databases and few are NoSQL, non-relational databases. This is a relational database, this is a relational database, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. These are all the relational databases. All others are non-relational databases. Okay, so to maintain your data, you could use any one of these DBMSs, these softwares, depending on what kind of data you have. So in our session, in our training, we are going to use this one, Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. Okay. So any questions till here? What is the specific advantage of using MS SQL Server? Okay, good question. Currently in the market, there are only few database management systems are famous and most widely used. Microsoft SQL Server is one among them. Okay, and the very close competitor to Microsoft SQL Server is the Oracle. And these are paid ones actually. Microsoft SQL Server, you need to pay for it, and Oracle database also you need to pay. There are few databases which you get for free. For example, MySQL we have. So functionality wise, all of these are same. So it depends on how much data you have, where are you planning to use them, and what is your current tech stack. Okay, based on all of that, we choose any one of these databases. Okay, but why I've chosen Microsoft SQL Server is that this is the most widely used database and it is the most sophisticated database till now, and it offers a lot of variety as in, along with the SQL Server database, we will also get the ETL tool, reporting tool, as well as analytical tool, SSIS, SSRS, and SSAS, which I was talking about. So because of that, we are going ahead with Microsoft SQL Server. But if you learn one, all other relational databases are same. Just that their architectural levels, they are a little different, but the functionality wise, they're all same. Okay, Deepak, I have allowed your mic. You can unmute and ask question. Amina is asking, shall we get certificate after this course? Yes, you do get certificate, but do not worry much about the certificates, right? More than certificate, it's a knowledge that you get. Okay, it's the learning that you get from this certificate. Of course you get the certificate, I'm not denying that fact, but concentrate more on learning. Okay, so you have certificate without the knowledge, without learning something, so then there is no use. So nowadays the recruiters are concentrating more on skills. Okay, not your education marks percentages or the certificates that you have. Okay, good question. Do we have to pay for the software? If you are using these in the production environment, in the companies for the production environment, then you have to pay. But for learning, you don't have to pay. We have different editions in the softwares, like developer edition, enterprise edition. I'll talk about that in a while. So we can use one of them, like the developer edition we can use, and we can learn for free. You can install it, so you don't have to pay for it. Okay, is Azure Databricks also a database? It is not exactly a database, but it is actually a service in the Azure, so which is used for kind of transforming the data. Okay. Bharat is asking, is there any registration required for this course? If you're already here in the session, how did you get in here? Are you, I hope you are part of the WhatsApp group. So that's enough. Okay. And also there is a registration link we had sent earlier, but if you're already in the WhatsApp group, that's okay. So you will get all the communications on the group. Okay. And just for, if you want the paid one where you get all the recordings, the course material, and have access to the doubt clearing sessions over the weekdays. So for that you need to pay. For that there will be a separate registration link. So I'll be sharing that with you. Okay, let's move ahead. Now we understand about the data. We understand about the software. And we know what are the different softwares we have, and we know which one we are going to use. Now there are different data roles, okay, to manage that data, to handle that data. Okay, what are those different data roles? There are these many database roles like data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, data administrators, machine learning engineers, data architects, business analysts, data and analytics managers, and etc. Okay, so out of these, we are going to concentrate only on these two, data engineers and data analyst. So that is where you will start your career with. Okay, so let's understand more about these two roles. Data engineers are responsible for integrating data sources and create a data repository for other professionals to use. Right? What do? What data engineers will do? They are responsible for integrating different data sources and create a data repository for other professionals to use. So basically, data engineers use ETL tools. What is ETL? Extract, transform, and load. ETL tools to integrate data from different sources. See, in real time, data will be in different locations, coming from different systems. Let's say maybe your data is coming from your website, from your mobile application, or from some of the in-house application, or from a manual entry into some other applications. So data can be coming from any other sources, from different sources in real time. So the data engineer's job is to pull data from all those sources, transform the data if required, because in all of these sources data can be in different formats. So you need to transform it, or on some data sets you need to also add the business logic, right? After doing that, you integrate that into a single repository, okay, which is also called as one true source of data. From, let's say you have 10 sources, from there you pull the data, you transform it, and then you'll put it into one single repository to which other professionals can look into. Who are the other professionals? For example, data analyst, data scientist, administrators, machine learning engineers, data architects. Of course, data architects will design the data engineers job also, like how the data has to be pulled and all that. And also the database administrator will be part of data engineers team as well, because they have to manage the database. Okay, but the other professionals like the data analysts, data scientists, machine learning engineers, business analysts, all these people will use the data which data engineers have integrated and put it into a repository of data. Okay. Now, as I said, generally data engineers will be mostly working on ETL tools: extract, transform, and load tools. So for this, the tool that we are going to use is the SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services. Okay, and of course there is a database that we are going to use. So there will be, of course, we need a database, right? So we are going to use SQL Server database, and the ETL tool that we're going to use is SSIS. Now, what will data analysts do? They analyze the data, create visualizations for better understanding of the data. Here, the data engineers will integrate data from the different sources and create one data repository. From that data repository, data analysts will analyze that data. They create the visualization, the graphical visualization, for better understanding of the data and to get more insights from that data. Okay, so by that, what they do, they analyze the data, they forecast the trends that impact the organization projects. So not only forecasting, also they do the operational data analysis also. Let's say you have a business running across few countries, and on a daily basis or a weekly basis or monthly basis, you have set target yourselves that in this country I have to reach this much of sales. So this data analyst will visualize that data. For example, maybe they'll create some charts like this, something like this, or some line chart or some pie chart, right? They visualize it and show it to the business executives. And let's say in one of the countries, if your sales is less, so your business will understand, okay, there is something going wrong with that. So they'll dig deeper into this country, and inside that country, they'll see this by the regional data. They'll see it by the managers, sales managers, and their other sales points that they have. So they'll dig deeper and understand, okay, what is happening there. So based on that, they'll take the better decisions. So that's how the data used by the business, which is created by the data analysts. So basically data engineers integrates data, gets the data from different sources, integrates it and create a single repository. And then the data analysts will analyze that data, create the visual representation of that data to understand the trends in the business or for the operational understanding also, right? So the other ones, we are not going to look into these: data science, machine learning engineers, business analysts, administrators, data architects, and data and data analytics managers, because as I said earlier, to start your career in the data field, you should start with these. And if you learn these two, either you can become a data engineer or you can become data analyst. Why we have put both of these together in this course is that to become a data analyst, you should also have understanding on the data and the ETL process also. So that's where your job will become easier. Or else for each and every small things, you'll have to reach out to the data engineers to understand the database structure and all that. Okay. Now, so I said we are going to use Microsoft SQL Server for this entire training, which is the DBMS, database management system, that we are going to use. But there are different versions in that. When I say versions, the different releases of this software. Okay, for example, if you look at your iPhone series, so starting from iPhone 4, we have iPhone 15 and iPhone 16 also coming now. Okay, so iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So these are all the different releases of the iPhone, different releases of the product. Okay, so like that, Microsoft SQL Server also released this DBMS, this software, in different versions. Okay, starting from 1989. Okay, it all started. It had actually started before this also, but the first stable version of Microsoft SQL Server was released on 1989, and it was called as SQL Server 1.0, and it used to run only on the 16-bit operating system. Okay, and it was supporting only the OS2, not even the Windows. Of course, Windows stable version was released after that, so that's the reason it was only supporting this OS before that. Then they released SQL Server 1.1, 4.2, 4.2b, 4.21a, 6.0, 6.5, 7.0, all this, so which were supporting Windows also. These ones were supporting Windows operating system. One more important release after all of this was this one, SQL Server 2000. This version name was called as SQL Server 2000 because it was released in the year of 2000, and it was supporting 32-bit operating system, which was a Microsoft operating system. Then in 2003 they released another version again of the SQL Server 2000 itself with a 64-bit architecture, and after that they released another version in 2005. This is another major release which is called as SQL Server 2005, and in 2008 they released one more major version called 2008, and after that they had also in 2010 released 2008 R2. See, these were supporting Windows only, and they also in 2010 they released one more cloud database, cloud version of this called Azure SQL in 2010. Okay, and in 2012 SQL Server 2012 was released, and 2014, 16, 2016 SQL Server 2016, and 2019 SQL Server 2019 was released. And now currently we have SQL Server 2022. So these are the different versions of SQL Server we have, the different product releases. That means in each of these releases, Microsoft had enhanced this DBMS. Remember, this is DBMS only, right? It has enhanced it. Okay, so the ones which I've highlighted here, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. These are the major releases. In these releases, there were major upgrades happening. Okay, 2000 and 2005 also, of course. In 2000 we have, for the ETL we have a software called DTS, Data Transformation Services. Okay, the SSIS we are calling now for the ETL tool, the predecessor of that, DTS. And in 2005 SSIS was introduced, SQL Server Integration Services, as part of the SQL Server 2005. Okay, and in 2008 and 2008 R2 there are many major improvements were made, and in 2012 also. In 2012 one major improvement was the column store index was introduced here, and also the database decryption, encryption, and all that were added. And 2016, in all of these versions there was also SSRS along with this, and in 2016 SSRS was upgraded with the better look and feel. Okay, and if you see in 2017 and 18 they also started supporting Linux. That means till 2017 you could only install SQL Server on the Windows operating system. But from the SQL Server 2017 and SQL Server 2019, Microsoft started offering this in the Linux operating system also. That means you can install SQL Server 2017 and 2019 in the Linux operating system as well. But you need to download the Linux version of it, but you can install them in Linux as well. Okay, so why I am mentioning SSIS, SSRS here? Because if you take database, Microsoft SQL database, along with this you will get SSIS, which is ETL tool. You will get SSRS, which is SQL Server Reporting Services reporting tool. This is one more thing, SSAS, which is called SQL Server Analysis Services. Okay, you get these three as well, along with the SQL Server database. You will get these for free. Even if you use the paid version of the SQL Server, with that you will get these three tools as free. That is one of the major reason why people are using the Microsoft SQL Server the most, because these three tools, SSIS, SSRS, and SSAS, are also very sophisticated tools in terms of ETL, data transformation, reporting services, and in terms of analytical processing of the data. Okay, any questions still here? The current version of SQL Server that we have is the SQL Server 2022. This is the latest version of the SQL Server that we have, and we are going to use this. We are going to install this, set up this, and we start working with this. Any questions till here? Okay, someone was saying my voice was breaking. Is my voice breaking still? Was it breaking? Okay, great. Let's go ahead. Okay, so now we learned about the different versions of SQL Server. When I say versions, these are the new software releases or the product releases. For example, the iPhone example I gave, the each year's model, like iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. These are the new upgraded products, that is called as versions. And within each of these products, each of these versions, let's say if you take iPhone 6, in iPhone 6 we had iPhone 6 as well as we had iPhone 6s, and we also had, I think, iPhone 6 Max also. And now currently if you take iPhone 14 for example, you have iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 14 Pro Max. We have these different different sub products in the major release of iPhone 14, right? So these sub products are called as editions of that product. Version is the major release, major product release, and these sub products within that major release are called as editions. Okay, so in each release of the SQL Server, Microsoft released different editions also. What are those? Enterprise edition, standard edition, web edition, developer, express, enterprise, evaluation. And we also had earlier business intelligence, data center and work group editions, but these are retired now. We don't have these right now. Okay. So what is the difference between these editions? Enterprise edition is the top end edition, like taking the iPhone 14 Pro Max, that has all the features that iPhone 14 is offering, right? So it is the top end. It has all the features available, which provides high-end data center capabilities and all that. It says with the faster performance and all that. If you take iPhone 14 or 15 Pro Max, then you will get the best camera, best processor, all that, right? Similarly, this is the top end edition, enterprise version. Next, we have the standard edition, which has less features. For example, let's say taking iPhone 14 with 128 GB of data, 128 GB of storage, right? And with that, you'll also get only 2 cameras, lesser features on the camera, all that, right? So that is the standard version. And in the web, it is designed for the web applications only. If someone is developing a web page and they want to store data for that web store and all, so for that this is used. And we have one more called developer. This is same as enterprise. One second. Developer edition is exactly same as your enterprise edition. Okay, it says it has all the features of enterprise edition, but license for the use of development and testing servers only. So if you are ready with your database and you want to go for production, you need to use this, which is paid. Okay, with all the features. Whereas developer, it has same features as of enterprise, but it is licensed only for development and testing. So you can use it for free. If at all you are developing a new database, or you're learning, or you're testing that whether I can go for SQL Server or not, you can use this developer edition for free. So we are also going to use this edition for our learning purpose. So this is as equivalent as this enterprise edition. Now we also have something called Express edition, which is also free, but this is like entry level server with limited features than the enterprise edition. So this supports only 10 GB of data. Okay, you cannot store or maintain more than 10 GB of data if you have the Express edition of the SQL Server. And we also have enterprise evaluation edition also. What this will do is, this is also same as enterprise edition only, but before purchasing the enterprise edition, let's say if you want to try all the functions of enterprise edition, you can download and start using it for 6 months. Okay, it is valid only for 6 months. After 6 months it will expire. Correct. So for our purpose, we can use enterprise evaluation also or developer edition also, because these two are free, and these two are equivalent to the enterprise edition. So but we will go with this developer edition, right? Clear with the SQL Server versions and the editions? Just to recap, versions is the new software release every year or whenever they release it. Edition is kind of sub products within that edition. Within that version. Okay, enterprise is the top edition. Then standard is the next edition with less features, and you also have Express edition, which is free, and we have developer as well as evaluation enterprise. These also you can use for free if you are not using these in the production environments. So once you are ready and you want to go to the production, then you will have to purchase enterprise. Clear? Any questions on this till here? Yes, no? Are you there with me? Okay, I assume that you all are new to the database. So has anybody who have worked on the SQL Server database already, or who have heard about SQL Server or these versions and editions already in the group here? Okay, Ayush says he has worked on SQL Server. Okay, Vishnu used MySQL. Sujal used MySQL in the academics, 3rd semester DBMS. Yes, that's how we also started learning database. Okay, Postgres. Someone has worked on, Sakshi has worked on Postgres. Okay, great. MySQL, I have used SSMS. Okay, MariaDB, MongoDB. Okay, yes, MariaDB, great. Okay. So we have a mixed crowd here. Few people have already worked on SQL, few people have seen how SQL database works, and many people are new. So that's the reason, just to help others who are new to database, I started with the basics of what is data, what is database, and all that. Okay, Deepak has a question. Yes, Deepak. So Deepak, yes, go ahead. Tell me. I have enabled your mic. You can unmute yourself and ask. You have raised a long hand, very long back. I unmuted you last time also. You didn't ask any question. Do you have any questions? Are you there? Okay. Okay, great. Let's continue. Okay, so in this slide, I have only till here. Now, so we know that we are going to use SQL Server, right? So we have to install SQL Server. Where do we install SQL Server from? Here, you can go to Google and search for SQL Server. Just note, see here, I'll give you time. You can download later and install it. Just see first. SQL Server download. Okay, you get this link of Microsoft where it says SQL Server downloads. Just click on it. You can download these previous versions also. If you click on 2017, 20 to 19 and all that, you can download the previous versions also. But let's install the latest version itself. Click on it. And before I forget, as a homework, as an assignment, you need to understand the difference between these versions. Maybe don't go too far because we are already working on with SQL Server 2022. Maybe you can see the difference between 2005 and 2008 and difference between SQL Server 2008 to 2012. Then the difference between 2012 and 2016, and then difference between 16 and 19, so that you will get a better understanding on how the SQL Server database was there in 2005 version and how it changed to 2008 and 2008 R2, and how it changed to 2012 and how it changed to 2016, and from there to 2019, what were the changes. Okay. Now, so once you click on that link, okay, let me start again. If you type SQL Server download, click on this link. Here you'll see three options: SQL Server on Azure, SQL Server at the edge, SQL Server on premises. So this is the one that we are going to use. This is on the cloud environment. This is on the cloud environment. This is on the on-premise environment. So we want to use this one. If you scroll down, you can click on download this as well. But if you scroll down, so these are the paid ones. Okay. Here you can also download the free versions, free editions. I said developer is free as well as Express is free, right? So Express has the lesser features. So that's why we download the developer edition. Click on download. It will download this exe file, SQL 2022-SSEI-dev.exe. Click save. So it will download this exe file, which is of 5 MB, 4 MB. Okay. Now if you double click this, open this. See here, you get three options: basic, custom, and download media. If you select this basic installation type, it will install the SQL Server with the basic configuration. And if you choose custom, it will install it with the custom, like while you are installing, it will ask you to choose the features and all of that. But if you click on this download media, what it does is it downloads the SQL Server setup files now and install them later. If you want, you can install them later on this machine or in any other machine. So let's go ahead with this. Here there are two options. You can also download it in multiple languages, but let's download it in English. You'll sorry, there was yeah. Can you all hear me now? Okay, so there are two packages you can download for SQL Server 2022, ISO or CAB files, but we'll download the ISO file. So you can choose the location where you want to download it. Click on download. Once you click on download, it will start downloading. It is of around 1 GB of file. If you don't have a faster internet connection now, it might take some time, but just see how you can install it. You can install it later. Ayush says he has already installed the developer edition with basic settings. Is it fine? I think it is fine, but what you can do is, Ayush, you can install it again as a different instance with the custom features, because so that we are all on same sync. We are all on sync, so that we don't miss anything. And of course, I've already downloaded and installed it, but let me show you a fresh install of it. Okay, it is downloaded. If I open folder, see now it has opened or downloaded this ISO file. SQL Server 2022 64-bit English Dev ISO, Developer Edition ISO. Okay. Now, how do we install it? If you double click open this. Okay, so we need to extract it. It's ISO file, right? You need to extract it. Open it with or extract with WinRAR or 7-zip, whatever. I'll extract to this folder. Okay, I have this folder. If you open this folder, here you see some supporting files, but the one that we want to use is this one, setup.exe. Double click on this setup.exe. It will open this SQL Server Installation Center. Okay. So in this, if you see towards the left side, we have these tabs. and with respect to them, so we have the details in this side here. Okay, now currently I am on planning tab. If I click on planning, so this is what I see. What I have here, I have hardware and software requirement. If you click on it, it will take you to a web page where it shows what are the hardware and software requirements for this, security documentation, release notes, and all that you have here. Okay, you can go through these links later. And if I click on installation, from here only we install our SQL Server database. We have something called new SQL Server standalone installation, new SQL Server standalone installation, or add features to existing installation. And we also have something called install SQL Server reporting services, install SQL Server management tools, install SQL Server data tools, and etc. We'll come to this in a while. Before that, let's see what you have in the other tabs. If I click on maintenance, see here I have something called addition, upgrade, repair, remove node from the SQL Server failure cluster, etc. Addition, upgrade is in, let's say if you are using the developer edition for your learning or the testing purpose, if you're okay with the features of the SQL Server and you want to upgrade it to enterprise edition, in that case you can upgrade it from here. You can also repair if there is an issue with that. If you go to the tools, some tools you have, resources. If you go here, under the resources we have SQL Server 22 books online. So this is the important. You have all the documentation about SQL Server. For every release you get this books online. Okay, you get it for 2019 also, 2017 also. Okay, and also for 2022. It is the documentation about the SQL Server. Then there is SQL Server Tech Center, Developer Center, and all that, like the blogs and all that. So there you can look into that. So you have a community. If you can join there, you can ask questions. People will answer your questions, all that. And under the advanced, so advanced installation things you have here. Okay, this is some installation media root directory. Once you install, where it will install, that you can change it from here, but I'll just keep it as it is. Now let's go back to the installation. Click on installation here. Now we want to install the SQL Server, right? If you already have an instance installed, you can also add features on top of that, okay, using this option. But since assuming that we do not have SQL Server installed in our machine, let's click on this link. Click on this link. It will open another window. Okay, so it opens this window. Here in your cases, these ones that we have, right, this side, so these can be, the order can be little different, but it is the same thing. So click next. First it checks for if you want to get the Microsoft update, you can check this, but since we have just downloaded it, so it is latest only. So click next. So it does some install some set of files. Okay, so then after installing, it will check for installation rules. If there is any issue in your system, let's say because it needs Microsoft .NET Framework 4.7.2 or newer for installing SQL Server. If it is not there in your system, you need to download this Microsoft .NET 4.7.2 and install it, or in newer version will also work. If it is failing here, instead of this green mark, you will see a red mark saying this is not installed. So you need to download and install that. Then come back here and then start installing it. Okay. Then click next. Here, installation type. It is important. Perform a new installation of SQL Server or add features to an existing SQL Server, existing instance of SQL Server. So if you have already installed a SQL Server, you can add new features to that. If you have not installed, you can just select this option. Okay, firewall warning is fine, so do not worry about it. Until and unless if you don't have any errors, you're good. Okay. Now I'll select this, then click on next. In your case, maybe if you select this one, you might not see the second option because if you have not installed it already. So as soon as you select this new installation, it will ask you for the name of the SQL Server, like what name you want to give to that instance. Give the name as MS SQL 2022. Okay, MS SQL 2022. I've pinged it here. Just make a note of it when you're installing. Give the name of the instance as MS SQL 2022 so that we all are on sync. Then click next. Here you need to specify which edition you are using. Evaluation, developer, or express. In my case, we are using the developer. Just select the developer, then click next. Accept the terms and license and terms. Click next. And if you want to add Azure extension, so you can choose this, but we don't want it. Just uncheck it. Click next. Okay. Next important thing here is the feature selection. Okay. There are two options here: instance features and shared features. Okay. First of all, we've been seeing this instance everywhere, right? What is this instance? Instance is one copy of installation. Okay, you can install the SQL Server on the same machine multiple times, right? So that each individual installation is called as one instance. Okay, so now currently I'm installing it as a new, right? So these instance features are only available to the installation that I'm doing right now. That's why these are called as instance features. Below that we have shared features. If I expand it, yeah, under these shared features we have data quality clients, integration services, master data services, etc. That means these are available to all the instances in my machine. I've already installed earlier only, right? I told you. If I go back, let me show you. If I go back again, go back here. These are all the instances that I have installed. SSAS 2022 MD, SSAS 2022 tab, MS SQL 2022, MS SQL 19. I already have these. Okay, these are the individual instances. Click next. Yeah, so instance features and the shared features. So these instance features are available only to this current installation that I'm doing, whereas the shared features are available to all the instances that I have in my machine. If you notice, these ones are already checked and they are grayed out because I had installed them in my previous instance installation. So that means by default they are available to this instance also. That is the reason they are grayed out. Now, so from this instance features, we need to choose database engine services. I think remaining ones are not required right now because we are only installing the SQL Server database. So we'll just use the SQL Server database engine. So we would need the analysis services, integration services later, but we'll install it later. We'll only right now install the database engine services. Okay, and click next. Azure extension, just uncheck that. Don't select anything there. At the top, you see that Azure extension, just uncheck it. We are not going to add Azure extension. Okay, yeah, here, this is what I was talking about. So there are two options, like for giving the name, default instance or named instance. If you're installing it for the first time, if you click on it, by default, it will take MS SQL Server MS SQL Server as the name for this instance. This is the default name of the instance. But we don't want to go ahead with the default instance. Click on this named instance and give the name here as MS SQL 2022. Okay, so in my case, I have this instance already with this name, so I'll not be able to install with the same name. That is why I'm just calling it as _1 for now. I'm not going to install this, but just to go to the next steps, so I'm just renaming it other than this one. But in your case, MS SQL 2022 only. Then click next. In this, just leave all of these as default ones and then click next. But just for your information, SQL Server agent is responsible for scheduling the jobs and running your scheduled jobs of SQL Server or SSIS packages and all that. And SQL Server engine, SQL Server database engine is the core database engine which runs your queries and all that. Browser is to browse the SQL Server objects. So these are the service accounts, right? When you're installing it, Microsoft will create these service accounts. Here, from this start type, you can choose whether you want to start them manually or automatically whenever you start your machine. Let's keep this as it is for now. This one says SQL Server agent says manual startup. So we'll see how we can start it later. And the other two, SQL Server database engine and the browser, are automatically starting whenever you turn on your system. If these are disabled, for example, these services are disabled, then your SQL Server database will not work, or especially the first one. If it is disabled, if it is stopped, so your SQL Server won't work. So it has to be running. Then next to this, we have something called correlation. So this indicates like how you want to treat your text strings, text in your database, like whether you want to have it as case sensitive and all that, right? So just keep this also as default right now. It says SQL Latin General CP1 CI and A. CI stands for case insensitive. Okay, you can add Praveen as PCAPS RAVEEN or small p RAVEEN. So it treats both as same if it is case insensitive. So let's go ahead with these default ones. Click next. One more important setting that you need to do here is this authentication mode. Authentication mode. Because this is the database, right? It has to be secured. So you need to authenticate yourselves. Okay, in order to connect to the database, you need to have a username and password to connect to this database. That is what we will set in this. There are two authentication modes in SQL Server. One is Windows authentication mode and other one is mixed authentication mode. Mixed means SQL Server authentication and Windows authentication both. Windows authentication mode, mixed authentication mode. Mixed authentication modes means SQL Server authentication and Windows authentication both. Okay. Now I'll choose a mixed authentication mode so that you can also log in as a user who has logged into your system or as a individual user. Here by default there will be a system admin account called SA account. SA stands for system admin. Okay, for that we need to give a password. So I'll give some password. You can give whatever password, but you need to remember this password. If you forget this password, you will not be able to log in using SA account, or you will not be able to retrieve the password also. So give some password which you can remember. I am giving it as, I'll ping you here what I have given. Maybe you can use the same thing. I've given this one as a password. PCAPS ASSW0RD. Okay. And next thing it says specify SQL Server administrators. Specify SQL Server administrators. If you click on add current user, the current user who is logged in. So in my case, this is my username to this of this system. This user will also be added as an administrator to this database along with your SA account. Okay, you can do that. And if you click on data directories here towards the right side, you'll see all the directories where your database root directory, system database directory, user database directory, log directory, backup directory, all this will be stored. Okay, this is by default, it will take the C drive. So do not worry about that. That is just for your information. Then click next. Now these are all the features that we have selected. This shows it is now we are now in the ready to install section. It shows all the features that we have selected and all the details about it. Let's say, for example, I was showing about the directories, right? It is showing which directory this will install to, temp DB settings, memory settings, and all that. Okay, and also the feature that we have selected. We have selected the database engine services instance configuration. This is the name that we have given, right? So all this it will show. After this, just click on install. It will start installing your SQL Server. Click on install. Say it is starting installing this. Okay, it will take some time, maybe some 20 minutes it will take based on what is your system configuration. But since I've already installed it, I'll cancel it. I don't want to install it. But in your case, click on install and let it install. So it will install it. Okay, once you install that, you should also install one more thing called SQL Server Management Tools. This is also called as SSMS. SQL Server Management Tools. What is this? So Now the database service database engine that we have installed, that is this database. This is there in our system as a engine to store all our data. This is our database, right? Now we need to have an interface to talk to this. That interface is called as SSMS. Interface, when I say, it is a window, like one more application to connect to this. In this, you can write query. You can see all the objects. Object as in tables, procedures, functions, views you create on the database. You can see all of that. You can see result set of your query. All that you can see. So this is called as SSMS. SQL Server Management Studio. We need to install this also, and then connect these two together, and whatever you have stored in this, that you can see in this. Okay. Now, so if you click on this, just click on this. It will open up this window where you can download the SQL Server Management Studio. If you just scroll down a bit, you will see SQL Server Management Studio. I'll just ping you this. I'll just ping you this link here. You can download it from here. I'll also ping you the link for SQL Server installation also. A SQL Server download link also. Okay, so we were here. I was downloading this. If you click on this, download SSMS, it is around 400 MB. I mean 400 MB, 473 MB. Okay, it will also download a exe file. The installation of this is simple. Just double click and install it. That's all. If you already have SSMS, that's fine. The version of this is 20.2. You might be having the older versions or something, but that's okay. If you want, you can uninstall and install with this newer version also. If you open, so it will open up a exe file like this, SSMS setup exe file. Just double click on it. So then next click on install. That's how simple it is. Okay, so once you install, I'll close it because I've already installed it. Here type, either you can type SSMS or SQL Server Management Studio, both the same. SSMS, you get this Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio 19. So I've installed the one older version, but you will be installing the newer version if you are installing it now. That's okay. Just click on it. Okay, so open up this window like this to connect. Here you can choose. Now we have installed the database engine, right? Click on database engine, and in this server name you need to give your server name like this. So this is your computer name. So if you have installed in the same machine, you can give the computer name, or you can also simply type dot. Dot stands for local system, local host, current system. Dot backslash, then the instance name that you have given. SQL MS SQL 2022 we gave that one. And authentication mode, you can either use Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication. In that case, you need to give SA as a user. Like if you remember, we gave one more. There was one more SA account, system admin account. For that, we gave the password. So if you give that password, it will work. But I'll use the Windows authentication. It will take my user name, and then click on connect. It will connect like this, and this is your SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. See here. Now you'll see in this, you'll see all the databases that you have created. There are different categories in this here. Here, this is your server. Here it is showing in this green play button. That means it is live. Means it is the connection is live. You have connected to this server. And if you expand the and you have the databases, security, server objects, replication, polybase, and there are different things that you have. The one that we want is this database. Expand this. So under this, whatever databases that you have created, you will have all the databases available in this. Okay, these are all the databases that you have created. And there is also one more thing called system databases. If you expand that, you have master database, model database, MSDB, and temp database. These are the system databases which Microsoft SQL Server will automatically create them. They are part of the Microsoft itself, and they are required for your SQL Server to run properly. And these are the user databases that we have created. These are the databases that I have created. Okay. So there are a few more things here to understand, like the overview of it, what are these tabs and all that. So we will understand them later, but just to give you, just to show you how we write the query. Let's say I have my database. Let's say I have created this database called test database. If you expand this, in this you have your different tables and all that. Okay, let's say I have this test database. I select this test database, click on new query. It will open up a new query window here. And if you click on this object explorer, you have this as here as well. Okay, now I type select. I write a query here. Select star from this table. DBO person. So you can just drag and drop it here, or you can also type. You can also type person. As soon as you start typing, it will show you the object names here. Then just select the one which you want. Select this query and click on execute SQL. Execute. This will execute this query and it is showing you the result here. Okay, and in this, if I want to see, let's say I want to see employees who have their titles. Okay, how should I write it? How should I modify it? Select star from person where title not equal to, how do we write not equal to? Exclamation equals to or like this, not equal to blank. This is the blank value, right? Select this and paste it within the single quotes or something like this. Now if I execute this, see now I see the records which have the titles with them. If I just run this above query, we have 1000 999 records. If I run the second query, I select this and run it, I get 992 records only, because which have the titles with them. Okay, so we will learn more about this querying and all later, but for now I think this is enough. So you can install SQL Server and SSMS. Then we will see the remaining things in the next session. Okay, any questions still here? Here SSMS is like your SQL workbench. I think workbench will also work, but it is better if you install this, because I'll be showing you everything with this itself. You cannot install it in the Mac. You can only install it in the Windows. Okay, thank you so much. See you tomorrow then. Bye bye.